You're watching the Small Business Showcase, brought to you by Sasfin Suits and Sneakers.
Sum of 21 in essence is an incubator. What we do is we identify youngsters, people that come from tertiary institutions that have the ability, the skills and the passion to enter the creative industry, and we give them that opportunity. And I think one of the things, and the reason why we started Sum of 21, we very early saw that there's a big problem in the industry. We firstly don't have the skills, and secondly, the industry has a long road to travel from a transformation point of view. And Sum of 21 focuses on specifically that. We look at those youngsters, or we look for those youngsters, and we give them a platform. And in that platform, over a 12-month period, we prepare them for the work environment. We develop them into true resources that from there can go into the industry, whether it is on agency side, whether it is on client side, but it is true, passionate workers that can run from day one.
Yes.
And that is the gap that we've identified, that the youngsters that want to enter the industry is so green. They need so much guidance and they need so much nurturing and tuition to get them to be productive. And no company and no agency has the ability or the stamina to really go through that process.
Yes.
And that is what Sum of 21 does. We make sure that those resources are ready for the industry.
Now, I love it. Let's dive into some specifics, right? Because there were some key phrases on your website that really stuck with me. So you're an incubator, specifically around the creative space. You provide internships that last about a year. Is that correct? Do you want to run me exactly what that internship looks like and how are you funded?
Perfect. I think from an internship point of view, and that's exactly what we do. And everyone also always say, internships dime a dozen. Everyone does that. So what do we do differently? And I think there are two things that differentiate us. Firstly, we've learned very quickly that to run an internship or a learnership, if you think you can just take these youngsters and slot them into your normal production environments, it just doesn't work like that. As an agency and as a company, you're just not geared to look after these youngsters. So what happens is we sit with senior people that are driven by deadlines, they're driven by KPIs to deliver. They don't have the time to look after the youngsters. So you waste the time of the youngsters. They end up making coffee and photocopies, and that's the story. So what we did is we pulled that out and we created a separate entity called Sum of 21. And we duplicated everything that we do in etiquette as main agency within Sum of 21. So all the disciplines from business development, account management, copywriting, creative, everything, quality management, traffic is duplicated in this environment. And the difference is now the youngsters run the show. They do everything. They make sure that the flow is there, that the outputs go from start to end. And then what we've done is we have seniors that stand beside or behind these youngsters. Yes. And these seniors don't have a day job. They don't have a production-orientated focus. Their only focus is to help these youngsters, to make sure that they have the support and the guidance to grow and to do the job and to deliver.
I was just about to say, so they're doing real work in the workplace, and they're being supervised by people who are specifically there to help them acquire these skills, help them execute on the work that they have in front of them. It's epic, but how are you bringing all of this together?
What we have done is it's very important for these youngsters to work on real life projects. It doesn't help giving them pie in the sky, thumbsuck projects. They have to work with real clients that push back, the difficult clients. They're producing something that as it goes out, you see it goes live in the real world. That's what we require. So for us, it is important that Sum of 21 is a sustainable business that brings in real projects from real clients. But I think one thing that we've realized is it's a difficult environment, the creative and the advertising industry, specifically in a tough economy, because the first budget that's always cut is the marketing budget. So we didn't want to create yet another agency that taps into the same creative budgets that everyone else is fighting around or fighting for. So Sum of 21 is created in such a way that we became the ideal receiver of grants, of BEE grants. So what we do as Summer 21 is we go to corporate South Africa and we tap into all four the BE grant environments. So skills development, enterprise development, supplier development, and socioeconomic development. The structures allow us to receive those grants, and these grants are then used to fund the whole model. So everything from the seniors, the tutors, the overheads, the stipends to the students, the further qualification of the students, all of this is funded via the grants. But then what we do is we go back to our grantors and we say, Mr. Grantor, to thank you for the grant that you gave us, we're going to give you creative hours for free to use. So the sponsor then get this bucket of creative hours, and in advertising terms, it becomes a retainer. And they, when there is a need for execution, they provide us with a brief. We execute that brief. We use the hours, the free hours from the retainer or the container, the bucket of hours, to pay for the execution. And at the end of the day, we deliver on real-life marketing executions to client, which they then use without having to touch their marketing budgets.
I mean, it's sheer genius across the board. You're not even manipulating the systems. You're actually using it for what I think was the original intent and purpose of why these things exist in the first place, these grants and these systems. And it's just such an efficient and smart use. And then to your point, because I'm actually having a bit of deja vu hearing you speak about that agency life. And you're right, when you are driven by deadlines, you've got a million things on the go, now you've got an intern there, it's like, I don't have time to explain this to you. I just need to get on with it, right? Because I'm driven by this. And you're right, like, go make me some tea. Go. And I hope that while you are observing, you are learning. Hope is like not a strategy at the best of times. So how you've literally flipped the model on its head, and the way you're giving back. And we have a severe shortage, as you pointed out, across the board, not just in the creative space, of skills. So this is why this sits so close to my heart. So how long have you guys been operating for, and how's it going?
We've been up and going for close to 6 years at this stage, so it's been quite a ride, and tremendous growth over the period. We started off with a small intake of 4 students, that grew to 10 students. We then had an intake of 20 students, and then ended in 2019 with about 50 students. So very nice group, a lot of development, a lot of great talent that came out of that group. And then last year happened, and I think, as with everything, COVID really hit hard. And we made 2 decisions. We put the whole program just on hold for last year because the appetite for grant spending was declining. People were in survival mode, corporates were in survival mode. But the time now is right to revive everything, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're busy now with our next intake. We're searching for the youngsters, for the talents. We're bringing them on board. We have some great sponsors behind us. We're looking for more sponsors to enable us to grow the project even bigger. And at the end of the day, it is get those skill sets, develop those skill sets, and really contribute back to the industry. Give the industry the hands that it needs.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is, it's obviously a great business, but it really borders on active citizenship for me. It's looking at a problem and not waiting for government or some other external entity to solve it. And again, I know this from the origins of suits and sneakers, that we have a major education crisis, if for nothing else. We have a skills shortage, and that when people don't have the adequate skills to add to an economy in a meaningful way, that is how we perpetuate inequality, unemployment, and these things. Right now, we have an oversupply of people who can pack bags at Pick and Pay. And I'm not dissing that. I'm saying the problem is that there's there's more than enough people who can do that, but there aren't enough coders, quality coders. There aren't enough creative people that have got quality skills that can make a difference. So anything that's skill-based for me, where, especially you guys are a small business, you are literally tackling this big problem head on. And there is such a knock-on effect that I would love to hear more about from you, because if you take just that last intake of 2019, 50 people, what that means to an economy, the families that are connected and attached to that, it's mind-bending for me. So what has the response been like? You mentioned that now there's a new appetite for it. What is the rest of 2021 and maybe the next 5 years look like, assuming we don't have another version of COVID?
I think the exciting thing with regards to that is really to build this out and to get as much traction as possible. And we do that on two levels. Firstly, we've done this in the creative industry. We have proof of concept. We showed that this incubator model works in the creative industry, which means it can work in any other industry.
Yes.
So one of the big focus areas is to say, okay, let's diversify into other industries. Like, let's take hands with other players from the HR fraternity, legal fraternity, accounting, entrepreneurship, and let's build these similar types to what we've done in Summit 21, these incubators that does exactly the same in those areas.
Absolutely.
So very excited about that. And then the other thing that we're also focusing on is to create, and it's not the right way to describe it, but to franchise the model. To say that in order to really do this, we as the current Summer 21 team, we're too small.
Yes.
We need many partners, and we want those partners to come on board. Partners that says, okay, we buy into what Summer 21 does, we are passionate about development, we are passionate about using this development opportunity to develop a business for ourselves, and then use what we've created in the blueprints of Summer 21 to create their own incubators. So we're on a big drive to get those partners at this stage, so that we say, rather than have one massive big Summer 21, the ideal would be to have 20, 30, 100 small Summer 21s.
Yes.
And that also means we can push this model into, from a geographic point of view, into other areas where they can really make a difference. And I think that's one of the things that we've noticed. We expect these youngsters to travel from where they are to our big offices in city centres. They spend most of their money and their stipends traveling there, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be there by 8 o'clock. And we just said it doesn't make sense. So we rather want to decentralize and have many little cells of Sum of 21 close to where the need is. And I think that is exciting.
Yeah, and again, I don't think people appreciate that when you're trying to solve a problem like you guys are getting into, there are these unseen problems that create huge obstacles. Like, for example, the fact that we just get into our cars and drive to the office, but that's not how it is for people who are previously disadvantaged, etc. Is there anything that maybe I missed, or is there anything that you want to share just before we close up that maybe I didn't bring up, but I think it would be important for the audience to know about?
Perfect. I think with regards to the two things that I want to touch on, firstly, with regards to the business model, why this is such a nice business model is also twofold. Firstly, what it does for Sum of 21 is we get all our funding through a grant, so we're able to keep the ship afloat through grant funding, and because we give the free hours, we get the real-life work which we need to develop the skills. So for us, that is really, really a working model. And from a corporate point of view, what makes it so exciting is corporates now, look, all corporates that we work with really bias into BE and into the grant environment. But it's still, it's a grudge purchase at the end of the day. And the reason for that is the accountability around the grants. And what this model does, it's starting to create an indirect return on investment.
Yes.
Because not only are we very transparent, the contributor can see exactly what the money is used for, the development of the people, they can see the effect of the money, but they also get something in return for that in the form of tangible deliverables which they can use in their normal environments. Yeah. Then also very important, what we are currently doing is through Sum of 21, we're starting to give access to advertising agency services to SMMEs. And most SMMEs will never be able to afford an agency. And how we do this is we work with big players, big corporates that has enterprise development and supply development programs and platforms. So it is already corporates that's looking after SMMEs. We approach those corporates and we say, okay, Mr. Corporate, you do what you do in your platform. We will come in from the other side. We will work with these SMMEs and provide them with brand development, marketing services. And what we see with most of these SMMEs, they don't have the basics. They have a logo which it's a nephew of an aunt that did it in his garage. how can they tell their story? How can they be sustainable if that is what they have to work with? So what we do is we come in, we work with the corporates, we use their enterprise and supplier development funds to fund such a project. We then go to these SMMEs and we help them to create their logos, to put websites together, to do marketing collateral, flyers, brochures, to a social media presence, a social media plan, all of those things for these SMMEs to tell their story. And at the end of the day, they get direct access and services from agency side. Mr. Corporate funds that, and this SMME is so proud of what they get, and Mr. Corporate is the hero at the end of the day because they made all of this come true.
Yeah, it's big and small working together.
Absolutely.
So my last question to you before I give you a chance to create a call to action is this. Why do you give a shit?
I think you summarized it very, very well just now. It's all about active citizenship. And it's a term that I've also coined with regards to atomic leaders. We need atomic leaders. We are so quick to bitch and moan about everything that goes wrong out there. We know what the problems are. Everyone points fingers to everyone else. No one of us have the balls to stand up and to make a difference. Yes. We wait for those big generational iconic leaders to come in and make a difference. And what I say is we don't need iconic leaders. We need atomic leaders. Small leaders or leaders, ordinary people, normal people that will make a change in their own environments where they know they're able to. And I think that for us is the drive. We are atomic leaders in our microcosm where we can make a difference. And that is why we do it.
Jan-Hendrik, I absolutely love where you're at. I cannot stand behind what you're doing enough. And honestly, my hope is that even in some small way, this Small Business Showcase interview goes far and wide. So that's your close-up camera over there. What I want to do is I want to leave you with the opportunity to just create a call to action to anybody who's watching this. It can be a call to action. It can be leaving a parting thought. You name it, it's yours over there.
Great stuff. Mark, I think I've got 3 different call to actions that's very important for us. Firstly, I do want to reach out to corporates from a BEE grant perspective. So any corporate that has access and that's looking for an innovative way to channel their BEE grants towards, and specifically from an enterprise and supplier development point of view. Have a look at Sum of 21, contact us, because we really, through these grants, can make a difference to the SMMEs that's part of your networks, as well as the youngsters that we create that helps both corporate and SMMEs to tell their stories. The second call to action is really to other players out there, people that are passionate about the development of youngsters, the development of talent, both in the creative industry and in other industries. If you want to join the calls, make contact with us and let's look at how we can take the Sum of 21 concept and incubators into a variety of different environments. We are looking for those partners to assist us with that. And then lastly, the call to action is the young creative talent out there. Anyone that feels they have the passion, the drive to get into this industry and that's just waiting and looking for that one open door, come to us, make contact with us. Sum of 21 can be that open door that will get you into the industry.
I just want to take this opportunity to give a big love to Sasfin for helping us put the Small Business Showcase together. Literally, without them, none of this would be possible. So here's what I'd like from you. Number 1, please support these small businesses. A really easy way to do this is just to like and share this video so that more people can see this. And if you have a small business that you'd like to nominate because you've dealt with them and you love it, please let us know. Get in touch. Chat to you soon.